In today's video, I'm going to be going over my all-time favorite accessory exercise for prioritizing grip strength development. If you've been going to the gym even for a short period of time, you've probably noticed that lack of grip strength tends to be the limiting factor when it comes to progressing on many of the lifts in the weight room. Consider heavy deadlifts, rack pulls, and variations thereof. Oftentimes, your grip is the first to go. Further, consider chin-ups and pull-ups and barbell and dumbbell row variations and cable rows and cable pull-downs. Where do you tend to feel the most fatigue? Generally, in your hands and your forearms. And further, when you incorporate direct bicep work, we often experience the same limiting factor. The grip goes first. Now, although it's obvious that our grip strength is getting prioritized through all those secondary pulling exercises, it's still worthwhile, in my opinion, to prioritize direct grip strength work. So this particular exercise, I actually came across watching a video a few years ago where Ed Coan went over some of his favorite accessory lifts, and this happened to be one of the exercises that he prioritized for developing his grip strength. After seeing it, I started to incorporate it into my own programming, and I found that it contributed dramatically to my crushing power, and I started to feel much less fatigue earlier on in sets with comparable weights. For example, a weight I would do on a cable pull down for a set of 12 to 15, I was now able to push through into the 15-20 rep range with less fatigue in the forearms, which was interesting because it just showed that my back and biceps compared to my forearms were able to continue with the set, but that limiting factor, as they say, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So what you're going to do to set up for this particular exercise is you're going to place a barbell in a rack, likely just below the knees. You want it to be at a point where when you lift this barbell up, it's not going to be resting on the rack itself. And what you're going to do is you're going to step up to the center of the bar. Now, if your bar is like mine and it doesn't have a center knurling, you want to look for a bar that does. Obviously, it's going to be quite a bit tougher if you don't have knurling relative to your ability to actually grip the bar. So for me, it's an added variable that makes it tougher. Woohoo! But if you do have a center knurling, it's going to assist because you're also going to know where the middle of the bar is, and if you don't have that, you might have to mark the bar. But this is what you do. This is kind of like a single arm farmer's hold or suitcase hold. With the bar loaded equally on both sides, you're going to reach down to the center of the bar and you're going to squeeze the bar as tight as you can with your knuckles pointing down towards the floor, and you're going to simply stand up and hold, leaning to the side ever so slightly. And the intent is to squeeze and hold the bar for a predetermined set of time. There's no movement once you're in position. Generally, 30 seconds is a good time period to hold before continuing to progress up in weight. Now, don't be fooled. This variation is deceptively difficult. Because of the length of the barbell, the fact that you're holding it right in the center, as the weight starts to increase on the bar, it's going to start to lever back and forth, which is going to become very tough when you're considering you have to hold that bar tight in your hands. It's going to start to peel your pinkies open and then peel your thumb and index finger open, and it's really going to force you to crush the barbell in your hand, or at least to squeeze with the intent to crush the barbell in your hand, because if you don't, it'll simply fall right back down onto the rack. Because of the off-center loading as well, you're only holding it on one side, you're also going to get quite a bit of oblique and general core development. And trust me, as this weight starts to get heavy, you will break a sweat as well, trying to hold on for those 20, 30, 40-second sets. Now, if needed, for balance, you can hold on to the squat rack upright. It does help a little bit, but it's completely up to you. I found both ways are progressive. It doesn't really take away from the exercise at all, considering the grip development. But if you are looking for the most core development as well, if you're trying to get more bang for your buck on this exercise, then obviously taking your hand off of the rack is going to be quite a bit more intense, especially as the load increases. I also like this exercise because of the fact that you can micro-load it being a barbell. You can bring up the fractional weights, and considering the fact that the musculature of the hands, as well as the flexor and extensor groups of your forearms, are not big muscles compared to many of the other larger muscles on our body, small incremental loads tend to make a big difference in intensity. So being able to pull out the quarter-pound plates and slap them on each side will contribute quite dramatically to that grip strength, that crushing power development that you're looking for. There's obviously multiple ways to program this in. My personal preference, I'm not really too worried whether it goes on an upper body or a lower body day. If you happen to have a lot of pulling accessory lifts, you might find that you struggle to place this at the end of an upper body training session because your grip strength is already fatigued and you prefer to put it on your lower body training session where you have a little more grip strength to work with. Regardless, when I'm programming it, whether it goes on the upper or lower body day, it always goes last. The reason why is because, generally speaking, whatever you're going to be doing in front of that is going to apply a greater degree of stress to the muscles involved in the development of your grip strength. Consider if you're doing deadlifts on lower body day, whatever you're deadlifting is going to be significantly heavier than this. And you don't want to miss out on those heavier lifts that are going to be more progressive for you long term in consideration of strength development because you will fatigue from putting this in front of it. Generally, when it's programmed in, I go from 3 to 5 sets, and I aim for 20 to 30-second rounds before increasing the load. Once I can clear all of the sets across with a given weight, it's time to raise the intensity ever so slightly. Hopefully, this presented an exercise variation to you that you hadn't previously considered. If you found this to be an informative video, please follow or subscribe depending on what social media platform you're seeing this on. And as per usual, if you happen to have any specific training, nutrition, or lifestyle questions for me, send them my way. And if I'm able to, I'll make sure to cover them in an upcoming post.